I have reason to believe my wife wants me dead. And while I have no direct evidence that this is the case, I would like to post this video in order to establish circumstantial evidence should I suddenly appear at the bottom of a river. As context, my 1-year-old is sick, and when Bleethtarg is sick, no one sleeps. It is the complete opposite of my other 2 kids, who when they got sick, they would sleep for 14 hours. There would be times in which we would wish they would get sick, just because it meant they would finally sleep through the night. I digress. If this video is being played for a jury right now, I apologize for my tangents. I would now like to get back on track and discuss the top 5 reasons why I believe my wife wants me dead, all of which have occurred within the last 12 hours that I shall now call the fever dream of the 3rd baby's sickness. Number 5, my throat was feeling scratchy, and so I put a cough drop in my mouth. I am not exactly sure what happened next, but I do know it involved the sentence, "Stop suckling that cough drop, or it's going to be the end of you." Number 4, we needed to change her in the middle of the night, and so I went and grabbed the wipes, and my wife said, "No, those ones aren't wet enough." And I said, "What do you mean they're not wet enough? Of course they're wet enough. I used them 6 hours ago." She said, "I'm telling you they're not wet enough." I said, "I'm telling you they are wet enough." She said, "You say that again, I'm throwing these wipes at your head." Number 3, we actually both fell asleep around 2:30 in the morning for a solid 6.5 minutes. However, during that 6.5 minute stretch, I allegedly breathed too loudly, and it resulted in my wife waking up and then yelling, "You sound like a freight train!" Number 2, at around 4 a.m., running on exactly 6.5 minutes of sleep, my wife said very quietly, "I'm so thirsty." I said, "Do you want me to get you water?" She said, "I'll tell you when I want you to get me water." And finally, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the last piece of circumstantial evidence for why I believe my wife wants me dead following the last 12 hours of a sleepless night. When we both finally gave up around 7 a.m., she was downstairs with Bailey while I was getting ready for work. She said, "Can you throw me a diaper?" And I looked over the ledge with the diaper and I threw it down to her. Mind you, it is a diaper. It has absolutely no weight at all. However, it hit her in the hand and she yelled very loudly, "Ow!" And then I looked at her and I said, "It is a diaper. How did that hurt?" And then all she could think to do was flip me the bird. And all I could think to do was say, and I could just tell by the look in her eye that that was not the appropriate response.